$21 billion is not enough. That was the pitch to me from a former transportation secretary for a big hike in gas taxes. But was it actually a big swing and a miss? We play the tape. You decide.
That's what we've always done in America.
All right. Well, we also account for the monies we spend in America, but we'll see, Secretary.
It's being accounted for, Neil.
All right, I wish you were right. Well, we'll see. Secretary,
well, I am right.
Okay, fine.
If Congress doesn't step up and either increase the gas tax, they'll have to take the money out of the general fund. America is one big pothole, Neil. If we don't come up with the money, we're in no way, shape, or form going to have the money is going to fix up the potholes.
But how sure are you that that money's going to be spent? I've heard of Social Security lockboxes. I've heard a lot of lockboxes, and I've had a devil of a time seeing this money accounted for collectively because it dwarfs anything imaginable. So I'm wondering, well, wait a minute. Before I commit more money, or you ask more money from us, can't we account for the money that's been spent and where it's going? All right, no answer on that one. So a question now. Former Transportation Secretary Ray LaHood says that we need to fix our infrastructure, which we actually do need to do, and we do need a hike in the federal gas tax to do it. But again, my question remains as it was to him. What happened to all the money we raised thus far? In case you're counting, Charles Payne, already $120 billion every year we pay in a variety of taxes, tolls, fees, you name it, for just this purpose on the state, local, federal level, and we're still in the final days of Rome. What's the deal?
Neil, I know you like my cufflink collection, and that's probably why you're asking me where the money went. I don't have it, okay? I spent $18 every day crossing the George Washington Bridge, and I'm not sure what that's going to.
Wait a minute, do you do that, or does your driver?
Well, he pays, but he's always complaining about it. I'll tell you where the cash is going, though. $85 billion to fuel tax, $12 billion to tolls, $9.8 billion property taxes and assessments, $14 billion for local and state fees. That's the breakdown of the cash. What they're doing with it, I don't know.
Well, that's my point, Senator. And a lot of people say, oh, Neil doesn't believe we have an infrastructure problem. I do. I can see it clearly. But what I do raise here is before we pile good money after bad, account for the money we've spent. And if you can allocate and tell me that it's been spent wisely and to this very cause, then I'll give you more money. Not until
I think it should make all of us very uncomfortable to hear Secretary LaHood say that America is one big pothole. When we just, as Charles just mentioned those numbers, when that kind of money's going out the window. So let me remind everybody that every time you put a gallon of gas into your tank, you're already paying 18 cents in a federal gas tax. You're paying about 30+ cents in state and local gas taxes. On average, you're paying about 50 cents out of every gallon you're putting into your gas tank, and more if you're filling up for a business, filling up your truck with diesel. So that's already about 15% of every time you buy a gallon of gasoline is going straight to the Fed, state, and local governments. And you're still talking that we're driving down the street and we're hitting potholes?
Well, I think this is Adam's fault.
Yeah.
And here's why, Adam. Remember when they started the lottery thing? It was going to go to education. So by now, with the trillions probably spent on lotteries, right? All our kids should have gold-plated laptops. They should all be geniuses. They're still as stupid as ever. So I'm just beginning to wonder what good it does pouring more money at the same old problem if we can't account for the money we spent. That's a big problem.
I would say don't get me started. I agree 110% on the lottery issue.
You're just saying that because you're here.
No, I would say nice things to you, Neil, when I'm in San Francisco also. I agree on that. I disagree. I don't know that it's not being accounted for. I don't know that just because we spend a lot of money fixing roads and bridges that we have enough to spend on roads and bridges. We obviously need more. That's the metaphorical point that the Secretary was making.
We need more money to stop hunger, too. You know that. We need more money.
Look, the user fee that the gas tax has worked extremely well. We built the interstate highway system on it. We do a lot of fixes, and it hasn't gone up in ages. That's the argument he's making, and it's a valid
No, my argument, Charles Gasparino, is this.
Right.
In bridge and toll, something we're familiar with in New York. Remember when they built the Arizona Bridge? The argument was that the tolls...
before my time.
The tolls would stop when the bridge was paid for. The bridge was paid for like 300 years ago. So now you're asking, like, okay, then what the hell are we paying?
No,
my point is not to be indifferent to our infrastructure problems, but to not compound the problem.
We've been having this stupid conversation conversation for like 40 years.
By the way, it's not too stupid if we're doing a segment on it.
No, stupid conversation over whether we have an infrastructure crisis.
Yeah.
I don't know if we have a crisis. I get to wherever I have to get to on time. There's lots of taxes, state and local. I worked at the bond buyer, which I covered how indebted New York State is and how much bonds they float.
You know there's a crisis when there's all these bridges that are, the paint is peeling. And
maybe the paint is just peeling, and you have to fix it.
Unfit. No, come on. The engineers say they need to be fixed. That's a problem.
That's right. They need to be fixed. That's what happens when your house needs to be painted.
But Charlie mentioned
that's not a crisis.
Ben, that's what I want to pick up with you. My issue is not to take issue with those who say we have problems with peeling paint, with roads that need painting and all that. I'm very, very leery of giving them more money because I know a thing or two about lockboxes and their history.
Well, I would say several things. One, it's a relative issue. Saying if they're spending $120 billion doesn't tell us whether or not it's enough. It might be they need to spend $250 billion. It's a big union thing because most of the money spent on this is going to union labor, so it's a gigantic subsidy to Democrat-oriented unions. So that's a gigantic factor. I really am offended by the fact this gentleman says America's one big pothole. Maybe he's one big pothole. I drive all the way to L.A. and to Malibu almost every week. And I never hit any big potholes.
But you can say that the president has no good policies whatsoever.
And by the way,
you're offended by that.
By the way, Ben, the waste involved in infrastructure projects are off the chart. I mean, there was something that the Port Authority, the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey built a tunnel to nowhere about 10 years, 15 years ago. They just spent millions of dollars.
It's a union bribe.
It's
all right, well,
a joke.
Bottom line, I just say look at the bottom line, and then they can verify all of this money. I'm happy to give them some more, but not until then. Anyway.